When I signed up for my first half marathon in 2010, I bought an iPod Shuffle. It could store 500 songs. I put Fun on there and Mumford & Sons. I put on songs from Newsies, the movie musical, not the stage adaptation, and all of I Am Sasha Fierce. And I put 2 songs on the shuffle from a 21-year-old named Taylor Swift, Picture to Burn and Mean. I had a bad boss at the time, so I hit repeat on those songs again and again. That pattern was indicative of my relationship with Taylor Swift from 2010 to 2023. Her hits would get through to me, and I liked them a lot. I ran to them, I put them on playlists, I danced to them at my 30th birthday party, I listened in the car with my stepdaughters. And then, in 2023, my family had a really bad weekend, and I took the kids to see the Eras movie as a distraction. A 5-year-old danced in the aisle the whole time, and my kids were absorbed and happy for over 3 hours. They held their promotional posters in their hands, and I watched Taylor through their eyes, wondering what kind of model she was setting for them. And none of it upset me. Taylor was dorky and hardworking. She was taking up space and lifting up her dancers and band. She was showing the sweat, and while always gorgeous, didn't seem to always be worrying about how she looked. And the songs, including the ones I didn't know, were great. I was aware that what I was seeing was self-mythology, engineered within an inch of its life. Even the bloopers at the end of the movie, I was charmed and thought, I get it, you're showing me you're not a perfectionist. I knew that I was being manipulated, but on that really hard weekend, I was grateful to have somewhere to hand myself over that I trusted more than I didn't, into Taylor Swift's world. Since then, Swift is essentially all I listen to. I have a playlist of my 100 favorite Taylor Swift songs. When I beat my 12-year-old at Mario Kart, she puts on Mean. When we need a 10-minute timer for dinner, we put on All Too Well. When someone is really annoying us, we put on I Forgot That You Existed as a way to, as my 16-year-old would say, try to manifest. Taylor is a part of the fabric of our lives. John Green, the famous YA author and internet personality, has this thing that he says about soccer that I really love. It's the most unimportant, important thing. That's how I feel about Taylor Swift. And I love unimportant, important things. They are where we come together as communities. They are where we feel. They are where joy comes in. And I probably don't need to tell you this, but I'm not the only person who feels this way about Taylor Swift. She's had 232 songs on the Hot 100 throughout her career, surpassing every other female artist. Last year, she was Spotify's most streamed artist, and the New York Times reported that 1 in every 78 songs streamed in the United States was by Taylor Swift. Swift is one of the few pieces of monoculture in a time of algorithms and echo chambers. She's played at honky-tonks, bat mitzvahs, and is taught at Harvard. And so even if I didn't love her, which I do so much, she is a force that I would have to reckon with. Here is Charlie Harding, the co-host of the podcast Switched on Pop, on Taylor's fame.
Taylor Swift is probably the most known public figure in the entire world. Like, most people could probably cite 2 or 3 world leaders and then Taylor Swift. I don't think there's anyone who has had this much fame at any point in recent history.
While her critics wonder at this phenomenon, there are plenty who argue how honestly she comes by her success. Here's Charlie again.
I think the primary reason that Taylor Swift is such a force is that she is a great songwriter. Now, largely her fame at this moment has a bit to do with who she has dated and the celebrity salacious narrative of boyfriends and ex-boyfriends that very nicely fit into songs. But what makes her fame possible is her unique ability to craft her life into narratives that people all around the world can see themselves in. And so, yes, the celebrity meta narrative, all the non-musical elements matter, but it wouldn't matter if it weren't for her being an exceptional songwriter with her own voice. Taylor Swift doesn't write pop songs. Taylor Swift writes Taylor Swift songs. Nobody makes songs like she does.
And here is Professor Stephanie Burt, that English professor at Harvard who's teaching a class on Swift. Stephanie has a similar take on Swift.
She has documented her feelings in extremely memorable and catchy songs and reflected back and validated and sometimes transformed the feelings of a couple generations of listeners. You can find a lot of yourself in her music, and sometimes you can even find what to do about those feelings that you're having. And she's figured out how to remain relatable, to stay there for us, to open up a version of feelings that we can imagine we enter into, even as she's become this global figure like almost no one else on earth, except possibly Beyonce.
And I agree with Professor Burt. Swift is brilliant at reflecting our feelings back to us, validating them, and giving us the tools to transform them. Swift is beloved and nearly worshipped by millions. And while I think that all culture should be held with critique, I also believe that Swift is creating something that is deeply meaningful to a lot of people. And when that happens, we have to pay attention. I've spent the last decade of my career looking at all of the non-traditional ways that people make meaning of their lives. As an atheist chaplain, I've talked about baseball with hospital patients going in for surgery and watercolors with an incarcerated man I met with for a year. The way I define sacred is whether something is helping you feel more loving and loved. Baseball does that. Watercolors do that. I don't think we realize the capacity that the things we love have to transform our lives. And rather than letting that happen accidentally, when the right song hits you in the car at the right moment, I think we can curate our relationships to the texts that we love. I think we can follow what we love and love them with more intention and then live more meaningful lives. I really do. And that's what we're going to do on this podcast. We're looking not at Swift, but at her songs. Her songs are confessional, instructive, and complex. They are begging for us to lean into them, and we're here to do just that. On each episode of this show, we are going to turn to one of Swift's songs for answers. We're going to ask Love Song, what is the fantasy of forbidden love? We're going to ask Enchanted, do we believe in love at first sight? We are going to try to more deeply understand the texts in order to better understand ourselves. Basically, on each episode of this podcast, we're going to have a question about how to be in the world and then say, well, let's ask Taylor Swift. And I'm not doing it alone. I've invited along for the ride a wonderful co-host, Daniel Schroeder. So Daniel, I'm so excited that you agreed to make this show with me. In treating secular things as sacred, I think it's really important that we remember that part of treating a text as sacred is treating it critically. Any minister or rabbi or any sort of spiritual leader worth their salt is going to complicate the text that they have been given. And I really love partnering in my work with cultural critics whose jobs it is to look closely at things and to contextualize them and to complicate them and to, respect fandom and yet put an asterisk on everything. And so I'm really excited that you are going to bring your professional bona fides to that point of view.
I'm so excited to join you on this journey. I really love diving into things and looking at them critically and thinking about them in the way they deserve, like I think Taylor's work deserves. And my dad is a minister, so I do bring a little bit of that like religious background too, and understanding the need to criticize sacred texts. So I think that we're going to make a great team.
Yeah. And one of the things that I love so much about your energy is that you're like, I barely like anything. I feel like your grumpiness is truly a great asset to this show.
Thank you. I've spent years cultivating it.
Really? It seems like it comes naturally to you.
Yeah, I think that it is a disservice to Taylor to not ground her a little bit and remember that she's just a person like the rest of us creating something, and that we are kind of meeting her in that place of like, we are here to look at what you're giving us. We're not like deifying you or making a hagiography. We are like here just on the ground, listening, sitting in front of you, playing your guitar, and then talking about you after you leave.
But not even really talking about her, right? Talking about her songs.
Totally.
And every episode is going to start, we're going to ask every song a question.
Mm-hmm.
We think that each of her songs are trying to grapple with a big idea. And so we are going to ask every song a question. But we're going to start every episode with you presenting us with liner notes. Can you explain to everyone the point of that segment of the show?
Yeah, so liner notes are a chance to give a background of the song, its origins, what Taylor has said about it at the time of its creation, and how it entered the culture, and what we thought of it at the time.
Yeah, and then that, hopefully, for the most part, is going to be where we stop talking about Taylor's personal life, right? We're not here to talk about who each of these songs is about unless it gives us context. We're really trying to approach these songs as if they are artistic statements trying to teach us about how to live, and wondering whether or not we agree with the propositions of the songs themselves on their own terms.
Definitely. I think that we're respecting her as a storyteller by doing that. And we are aware of how personal she is in her songwriting, but also that like she is creating characters time and time again. This isn't just us reading Taylor's journal and talking about those journal entries.
Right. And then one of the things that I really love about our episodes is that we end every episode by asking, what is this song an anthem for? And I do think that there is something about Taylor that every Taylor Swift song could be the last song at the concert. She's never leaving anything behind. She's putting it all out there. And so this anthem question, I think, is a way of respecting the operatic project that she is undertaking in her work.
Yeah, and I think that choosing the anthem question centers it on our own lives and experiences and where we can play this song in our moments of whatever that song is conjuring for us. We can really bring ourselves to it and make it personal.
Yeah, I feel like I often listen to Taylor songs as anthems, but not always as anthems as specifically intended within the lyrics. One of my favorite Taylor songs is I Forgot That You Existed. And it is clearly within the song about an ex-boyfriend. And yet I listened to that. I was going through a friend breakup. And this question about what is it an anthem for, right? It's an anthem for healing. It's an anthem for wanting certain things in the past to be in the past. And it doesn't matter that she wrote it for a boyfriend. It applies perfectly to a bad boss or, I don't know, a bad cold.
Oh, for sure.
And so, yeah, harnessing like this is an anthem to being over it, I think is more important than who the song is about.
No question. And I mean, I'm right there with you. That is one of my top tier Taylor songs of all time. So I love it. It's just such a hit. It's a perfect way to open that album. So, Vanessa, your whole shtick here is considering things sacred. And can you tell me a little bit more about that and how we're applying that to Taylor's music?
Yeah, the invitation of treating secular things as if they're sacred is learning from the text and not about the text. And so really letting the text speak to you and where you are. And I think that that is how we all treat music. We are constantly asking music to speak to us in the moments that we need it. It's why I'm so excited to make this show and why it's so necessary to have you on the show, because I'm not someone who's trained in thinking about music at all. But I know that that is what is special about music, that it can be these 3-minute ecstatic experiences that we can create for ourselves in the car, in the bathroom, in these really micro ways and in such intimate ways, right? With your headphones, you're going to be having a private moment in public. And so the invitation of treating something secular as if it was sacred is A, to honor the truth of that. And also what that means is that you're just allowed to see yourself in the text. The text is there for you to have an emotional experience with. And I think Taylor just meets us more than 50% of the way there. She is trying to create songs that you can project yourself onto. And so the podcast is just going to be structured for the nerds listening. It's going to be structured on a traditionally Judeo-Christian sacred reading practice where you start looking at the text and then you break the text apart and apply it more and more to your own life. But this is, a structured way of doing what I think we all already do with songs that mean a lot to us.
Yeah, and we're going to dig into the text by first getting into what the song is literally about. What are the obvious things that come up for us as we are interpreting the lyrics and seeing what we think is going on here? And then also what Taylor thinks is going on here, what we think that she was going through, thinking about, focused on when coming up with the idea for this song and how to convey that in her music. And then we each choose a lyric that we want to talk about that really conjures something for us. Maybe it makes the whole song come into focus for us, or it's just a specific thing that really hits us from the song. And then we talk about if we agree with it, if we think that we are on the same side as Taylor in regards to the question we're asking, or if we think Taylor's wrong here.
Never.
That's why I'm here.
So the first episode that is out right now, we are asking the song Tim McGraw the question, how do we want our exes to remember us? And we're going to talk about the answer that Taylor gives and whether or not we agree with the answer that Taylor gives. And our first season of Let's Ask Taylor Swift, we are going to be doing the top track off of each of her albums. So we are going to start with Tim McGraw, and then we're going to move on to Love Story.
And then Enchanted, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, and so on.
Oh my God. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. So many anthems.
And you can hear us talk about the first one right now. Go listen to it. Tim McGraw, it's out.
This has been an introduction to Let's Ask Taylor Swift. This was a Not Sorry production. We are a feminist production company. We are sponsored by the Fetzer Institute. I'm the executive producer. Our producer is AJ Uramas, and Ariana Nettleman was our development producer. This episode was edited and produced by Ariana Nettleman. Our music is by AJ Uramas, and we are distributed by Acast. Thanks as always to Julia Argy, Nikki Zoltan, Courtney Brown, Casper Turkile, Anissa Ahmed, Danny Langley, Matt Potts, and Stephanie Paulsell.